Don't wait till the battle's over. Don't wait till the struggle ends. Shout now, shout now, right now. Shout now, shout now. Don't wait till you make.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Phillip Show. Grab your coffee if you haven't already. Listen, so I'm in between weather and it's warm outside, and I have this hoodie on. For those of you who can't see it, it is inappropriate for the temperature in here, but I'll sweat through it and we'll be okay. So today we're talking about not just the pivot of it all, but the decisions that lead you to what it is that you're doing. What is your passion, regardless of your skills, regardless of your talents, regardless of your success? There's something that drives all of us to do whatever it is, whether we're on the journey, whether we've succeeded and we're starting a new one, whether we're in a different season. What drives you to move to the next level? A lot of times we're here in a digital world where there's so many things going on and so many distractions, but somewhere in those distractions, we have to push through and remember our passion. You've probably heard me say it before, remember your why. It's great that we do stuff. It's awesome that we succeed, but at the end of the day, why are we doing it? And what is the value, not just to the people that we're having output for, right? Not just to the products that we're producing, but what value does that add to you and your journey? So get ready, because today we have co-founder of the copy agency, Vandee, and beyond that, beyond the success, we're here to pick his brain and figure out why. Cole, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm really stoked for what we're about to talk about today.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you're here. First of all, where are you coming in from? Where are you right now in this world of cyberspace? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm in Southern California in Orange County, so about an hour south of LA.
Nice. It's hotter there than it is here, so I'm sure it's not hoodie weather there, but whatever.
Yeah, it was chilly this morning when I was going to the gym, but I have no idea what the temperature is right now. It could be hot, could be cold. I am locked in a windowless room right now and just been working away today. So.
Oh my goodness. So I opened up the show and we're talking about journeys and all of that, but let's just start with what is it that you actually do? Because you are mad successful. If I can just use some slang, you're mad successful, sir. So break down what it is that you do. Where are you now?
Yeah, right now I owned a company called the Copy Agency, where we handled copywriting, mostly email marketing for anyone that had a course or information product or coaching of some sort. Okay. And I had a co-founder in that. We parted ways earlier this year. I rebranded as Inboxing Engine, and I'm on the path to turning everything I know about email marketing into a very simple plug and play software. Just in the world we are with AI and technology, I think that's the direction in which this industry is going to be going here shortly. Yeah. So I am on that path, have no idea how to make it happen or what it's going to look like quite yet. But I do know that systems, processes, and a clear vision will get me there. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Systems process. I mean, first of all, systems processing and a clear vision, that's not something that most people just say, this is what I need, or this is a tool that I need to get to the next level. That's pretty advanced. I know you work with a lot of different people. What are some of the things that you help people do?
Mostly what we do is we help anyone that's paying for advertising in some way, shape, or form to generate leads. We help them convert more of their leads. Okay. It's really, what we do is really boring stuff, right? We write emails, we send them out to email lists, we generate more sales, and we just do the same thing every single day. There's no like magic bullet. There's no circus happening. It's just the same stuff every single day. It's very mundane, very boring. But what I found, especially in service-based businesses, the more boring your execution on stuff is, the more sustainable it ends up being over time.
So if it's boring, although it's sustainable, where does that leave you? How is that exciting for you?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I'm someone that's always been like throughout my entire life, I've always been someone that loves a challenge. I wasn't great at school, not because I wasn't smart. I just simply didn't apply myself. I was a kid that just showed up basically to take tests, you know. And so I went through this whole journey of figuring out what I was going to do to make money. I went into sales for quite a while. I launched multiple companies over the years, most of them not successful.
Oh,
With more recently over the last maybe 7 or 8 years, finding some success. And yeah, so for me, I'm finding different ways to challenge myself, especially creatively. So
mm,
this year, especially, I've been over the last actually probably about 12 months now, I've been writing music and performing it. Um,
really?
not releasing it to the public or anything like that quite yet, but just finding new ways to challenge myself in a creative capacity, and it keeps the creative juices flowing for me.
How do you find that balance? It's interesting that you say that. How do you find the balance between just finding time for creativity and the things that you need to do, let's say to survive or to put food on the table? How do you decide, like, okay, I really want to follow this passion, but I have to go over here?
Yeah, I'm someone that has a very strong opinion about time.
Oh,
For me, I believe that, and I've even proven this many different times over the years. I was in sales. I managed and grew sales teams for a while in my early 20s. Um, I There's a significantly more efficient way to get most people, like an 8-hour day at a normal 9 to 5 job can be completed before lunch,
mm,
right? It's just they just take all day to do it.
yeah.
And so for me, like, most people going through and executing on the things that I do every single day, it would probably take them 4 or 5 days to complete the tasks that I get done in one day. And it's
Yeah.
just because I don't give myself enough time to waste time. Um, and so I don't think it's about making the time. I think it's more about being better about the time you're using currently. There's 24 hours every single day. And if your favorite artists or musicians or actors are able to travel the world and go on vacations and film 5 or 6 movies a year and drop an album and go on tour and then still have time for friends and family and going out to eat and partying and doing all the stuff, like, I'm pretty sure that you as like an accountant or whatever your job or profession may be, you have an extra 30 or 40 minutes in a
Mhm.
day to do the thing that you want to do with your life anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So you said that you weren't that great in school, but I also heard you say that you used to manage, you managed teams. I know. Oh, you also said that you had some different businesses, some successful and some not. And you also have an agency. What has that journey? How did you just start from not being great in school to all of a sudden all of these opportunities, which seems super successful?
yeah, I mean, to string it all together, I think the one thing that ties everything together was I grew up, my mom basically raised me by herself.
Mhm.
My dad had his own challenges and wasn't really around too much. And then he ended up being incarcerated for a very long time,
Mhm.
which is a story I won't get too deep into here just because it's not my story to share. But he just wasn't really around. And so my mom raised me by herself, and I watched her go from making $8 an hour as a secretary when I was really young and move into a sales career where she started making 6 figures. And it took her a long time, and it took her really long days and really long weeks. It took her, she'd be traveling a lot and doing everything she possibly could to, provide the way that she wanted to, and to build the success she wanted. And so I've watched that hard work and that, resilience and perseverance and persistency happen day in and day out. And it was just natural what it looked like for me as 6, 7-year-old kid watching my mom, just like, yeah, my mom just worked a 60-hour week. That's normal. And she's not complaining about it. She gets up on Monday and does it again.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the biggest piece of that puzzle. As far as school, I know for me, like, I just wasn't challenged. It was very boring for me. And so I just did tests and did the bare minimum in order to get the passing grades to move on. Because I just didn't like it. It wasn't very challenging. It wasn't creative. It wasn't fun.
Yeah.
In my world, I wanted to play baseball and hang out with my friends. So I didn't really see school as being a benefit to me when I was, a teenager.
Mm. And then, so it wasn't a benefit to you as a teenager. So how did you get from there to managing teams and starting businesses?
There was this, I'm not going to go, this isn't like a therapy session, but I'll share a little bit here where, for me, like I realized like growing up with, like, again, we weren't very well off. My mom didn't start making six figures until I was, a junior in high school, maybe a senior. So I grew up most of my life with having exactly what I needed and nothing else. I had clothes on my back, food on the table, like hamburger helper and pork chops and stuff like that, but nothing like we didn't really eat steak or anything. You know what I mean? Like it was just regular food from Walmart. I wore hand-me-downs from my cousin sometimes. And the pair of shoes that I got for the year were my old basketball shoes from the previous season. And so that's how like my shoe situation happened, And so I didn't really have a lot and I wanted more. Like I remember when the first iPod Nano came out. I don't remember how old I was. And I was like, Mom, I really want that. And she's like, you can buy it yourself. And I think I was probably 7 or 8. And so I mowed lawns and shoveled snow. I grew up in the Midwest. And saved up enough money to buy the iPod Nano. And that was kind of me learning, like, if I want something, I have to kind of earn it. And so I brought that into every part of my life. I wanted more. And the more I learned about the things that you could have if you worked harder or made more money, the more I really wanted more. And so I was willing to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, even as a teenager, to make all of that happen. And I think the mindset that I had that kind of pushed me into like my first real six figures was like, absolutely no one was going to keep me from doing it. I was willing to work as hard as I could, do anything I had to do, put myself out there as much as I could, and get rejected as much as I possibly could, and just grind it out. Like it was going to happen. Otherwise, like there was no other option. There was no plan B. There was no, anything else. I was just so determined, so arrogant, so optimistic. No one could tell me anything, basically. So.
Well, yeah. You, what are the things that it sounds like? And I'm interested to hear, you said to get somewhere. Are you a goal setter?
Yeah, I find it at this stage in my life, in my career, I find setting goals a little more different than they used to be. Now the next dollar doesn't excite me as much as, what kind of impact am I, having on people when I interact with them. But when I had no money, the next dollar was the most important thing. So I had all sorts of goals around, I need to make X amount of dollars this week, or X amount of dollars today, or X amount of dollars this month. Or whatever it may be. And so, yeah, goals were massive for me. And now I'm getting a little more clear about bigger goals that have way more to do with just, commas and a paycheck, which is an entirely different world to play in, and requires a lot more kind of looking inward and figuring out like, why am I even here and what am I here to do, kind of thing.
Yeah. What do you think is the number one, what's the number one thing in your toolkit, if you will, in your personal toolkit that you use now to give you the momentum to move forward successfully?
That's a great question. The number one tool that I use in my toolkit that helps me move forward and get kind of what I want in my life and move success forward. It's the same thing I think that I used even back then, when I was first getting started, but just realizing that like everything is up to me, in some way, shape, or form. There are things that are way out of my control. I can't control other people's actions or behaviors. I can't control, whether or not someone cuts me off in traffic, but everything that is within my control, right? Like my decisions, my reactions, my behaviors, my choices, knowing that that's on my shoulders and that I have control over that and that I get to make those choices, for me has been the biggest tool that I've ever used. You know, I get to choose if I wake up at 4 a.m. and work today or if I'm going to sleep in. That's a choice that I make. And I think a lot of people that get stuck on the treadmill of, I don't know why I'm not making progress, it's because they're just making choices that aren't allowing them to make progress.
How do you, you mentioned earlier, you've failed before. How do you process and handle failure? What do you do in those moments?
I mean, the podcast answer for that is every failure is a lesson, right? The reality is that sometimes it sucks.
Yeah.
You know, my biggest failure, something I'm still kind of working through, it happened in 2018. I launched a copywriting agency. We went from 0 to over $500,000 in sales in the first 90 days. I hired 20 something writers on 3 or 4 continents. I had salespeople in every time zone. Had absolutely no idea what I was doing, had zero control over what was happening. I had no one system to run anything. Payments were happening through everything you could possibly imagine. Contracts were being written by, you know, salespeople that are not lawyers, and it was just a mess. And so that was a massive one. I had to let everybody go. I refunded several $100,000 back to clients, and I ended up working for free for the next 12 months to fulfill on all the money I couldn't get back from the salespeople that just took it. And it was a mess, and that was rough. I was working 16 hours a day, 20 hours a day, sometimes just writing, fulfilling on all the contracts, getting everything done while working a job. I had to get a job to pay rent because, you know, I didn't have now as multiple 6 figures in debt, and it was tough. And the way that I kind of dealt with it at first probably wasn't healthy. I just shut myself off from the world and didn't talk to anybody. I don't recommend that. And then after about maybe 6 or 9 months, I was like, you know what? Like, you know, clearly I got something here. Like, I'm not awful. I'm not terrible. What can I do? And so I started thinking about like, what's the plan? And the plan was finish out fulfilling on everything and getting back to 0. And so that's how I dealt with that. And it was rough. You know, there's times where I really thought I was going to be homeless. I remember calling my parents like, hey, calling my mom, hey, I'm, you know, probably not going to make rent this month. They're going to kick me out. And she'd just be like, yeah, you'll figure it out, kind of thing, you know? And I was like, fuck, like I'm all alone in this. And what do I do now? And, and all that fun stuff. And it sucks. It's not fun and it's painful. And I think that now looking back, it's like, well, if I can survive that, then I can survive the next failure. And so trying not to be too afraid of them going forward, I think is the mindset that I'm taking into kind of my next ventures as I'm building stuff out.
So what's pushing you forward now?
What's pushing me forward now, I'm getting a lot more clear about a lot of the experiences I've had throughout my life, a lot of the successes I've had as well, and a lot of the failures, and then also a lot of the people and the stories I've met, a lot of the things I've been exposed to in business. I've been around guys that have done billions and billions of dollars in business. And I get to see how they think, why they think that way, how they build teams and organizations, how they build products. I'm kind of taking all of this and formulating something. And that something, my hope is to kind of encourage people to continue to move forward and to find inspiration for themselves or to get out of their own way so they could have the success that they ultimately want. It's in the realm of helping people. Exactly how I'm still working on like the clarity of like, what does that even look like? And how do I do that? And I think part of it is kind of, you know, jumping on shows with people like you and kind of sharing a little bit about my journey and what I've been through. And hopefully there's a gold nugget in here that helps somebody. So,
yeah. Do you think that, and this is to the journey, because I think there's rest sometimes in just relaxing in the journey and know that you're making intentional decisions to move forward, no matter where the forward direction kind of goes. some people say make the next right step, right?
Mhm.
Do you think that a large part of people's passions, if you will, or expression or whatever, do you think that there is a lot of power in the now versus maybe waiting for the then, the up the road, trying to figure out what the goal is?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like I think a really clear way to explain this, like a lot of people, I think, like let's imagine, let's take this out of life and let's just put this, like, let's say we're on a road trip
Yeah.
and we're driving down the highway and we're going to a place we've never been before. Uh, the equivalent to waiting for something else to happen before you start going, or waiting until you know exactly what the thing is going to be until you start going, is like pulling over on the side of the road and hoping somebody drives by and hands you a map and says,
Mm.
this is exactly where you're going. As opposed to continuing to drive down the road and you start to see some landmarks along the way where you're like, oh yeah, like I don't think it's over here. I should look over here instead. And it gets you closer to where you want to go. Um, for me, one of the biggest things that I've truly think has helped kind of shape kind of the direction I'm heading in life is realizing that, 10 years from now, I'll look back and think to myself, oh yeah, 30-year-old me never could have possibly imagined that life could look like this. So I'm glad he didn't stop and wait until he figured out what this was to get started. Because living where I do today and doing what I do now and working with the people that I work today, I never would have imagined I could do all of this 5 or 6 years ago. So I couldn't envision it. The version of me that existed back then couldn't see what's possible today. So taking action is incredibly important.
What is one, and I was thinking about this while you were talking, moving forward with intention, being being present and taking action. What is something, I know somebody's listening, and I want to know this answer for you. What is something that could derail you from moving forward?
The question how. The thought or the question of how do I do this, or how is that even possible, or how could I, it's the wrong question almost every single time. I didn't know how to get on podcasts before I started getting on podcasts. I didn't know how to write advertising before I started writing advertising. I didn't know how to do sales until I started to do sales. I didn't know, how to teach. I didn't know how to coach. I didn't know how to throw events. I didn't know how to do JV partnerships. I didn't know how to write books. I didn't know how to make those books bestsellers. Like none of these things I knew how to do before I did them.
Mm.
And so what I've found, I've coached, lots of people throughout my journey, whether they, work for me or people that I've met through personal growth classes or whatever it may be. And they want to get to that next level in life. And the number one thing I notice that stops every single one of them is them trying to figure out how to do it. And it comes right back to the question that you asked just before, which is, what do you say to people like that aren't taking that first step versus trying to figure it all out first? And you're never going to figure out how until you start. And even if you think you know how to do it, I can't remember who said this quote, but everyone has a great plan until you get punched in the face. And if you're going to go into business, especially, if you're going to go into music business or a creative business of any kind, you can have every plan you want until you get punched in the face 4 or 5 different times. And then you're gonna have to really rethink how you're going to make it all happen. Because it doesn't go the way that you want it to. It doesn't go how you think it should. It goes the way it's supposed to go. And how you deal with that and handle that as you move on is going to ultimately help out. So yeah, that's my rant, if you will, on on what's keeping people. Yeah.
That face punch will keep you humble, won't it?
Yeah. Yes, it will. I've had a lot of those.
What is next for you? What's the next right step for you? What are you hoping? Not hoping. What are you doing next?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like I mentioned with the email agency, you're turning that into more of a very easy to use software, so that way everyone can use it. That's definitely what's next in that realm. As far as me personally, what's next? Uh, I'm working on and taking lots of steps towards creating something physical, something that actually exists out in the real world tangibly. So my cat wants to say hi to everybody
Oh,
real quick
absolutely.
too.
Hello,
So if
Kat.
you're watching, you can say hi to my cat.
Who are we meeting right here?
This is Eleanor, and Eleanor very much is the center of attention and runs the ship around here.
Well, with a
Um,
very distinguished name like Eleanor, we
yeah,
understand.
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so there's lots of ideas that I have around there, and I'm falling into I have lots of ideas. I need to just pick one and do it. But I've built out the entire ecosystem and infrastructure for a fashion brand. I've built out the entire ecosystem and infrastructure for a shoe company. I've started the process of building out a ready to drink product as well, and I'm working on an indoor golf simulator league as well that'll go international. So I have lots of amazing ideas as far as the next thing for me. That I'll definitely do side by side with Inboxing Engine. I just don't know what that thing's going to be quite yet.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking birthing something that lives on beyond me, doesn't have my face on it, but becomes its own brand and identity. I think that's really kind of the route that I want to go.
Yeah.
It allows me to create and then have lots of challenges in order to make that creation come to life and actual people use it. And it brings a value to somebody in the real world. So really excited about what that might become.
Where can people follow along with you while you're journeying to your next step?
Yeah, I mean, all social media platforms for the most part at Cole Vandee, Vandee. Yeah, I'm posting quite a bit. I'm mostly active on Facebook. I think it's just because I've been on Facebook now since 2007, so it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But also posting quite a bit on Instagram and LinkedIn, and I'm starting to throw up a lot of YouTube content as well as time goes on. So really excited about that. And then my website too, colevandee.com, where I'm posting kind of blogs and some more content and stuff like that will be held there as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you took time to stop in and sit and chat, excuse me, and sit and chat with me and just share your journey. It's pretty incredible.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. My hope is that at least one golden nugget comes out of this and makes someone's life just a little bit better.
Well, I'm sure it was raining nuggets in here, so I'm sure somebody can grab at least one of them.
I hope so.
All right, thanks, Cole.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So that's Cole Vandee. Again, it was raining nuggets in here. And one of the things that I really enjoy about that, and as I said at the beginning, is the journey of it. There's a process, much like Cole was talking about. If you're on a road trip, what are you going to do? Stop and wait for somebody to get the map, or just keep going? Take the next right step. Visit Cole, follow along with his journey, connect at Cole Vandee on all platforms. I will see you next time right here on The Phillip Show.
Don't